Thanks all for coming. Welcome to the Factual Entertainment Commissioning Panel. I'm Neil Smith. I'm Joint MD at Betty. We make shows such as The Undateables, Autistic Gardener, and Everest Rescue for D&I, for Discovery. On the panel today, we have Lucy Leveugle, who's Commissioning Editor for Factual Entertainment at Channel 4. Bill Hobbins, who is Commissioning Editor for Non-Scripted at Sky and got the dress code memo. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
It's every man's, TV man's uniform. Didn't wear his brogues, though, thankfully. Donna Clark, who's Acting Head of Commissioning for Formats and Features at BBC One and Two. Mark Procter, who is Acting Head of Factual Entertainment TLC, for TLC, for Discovery Networks International, and didn't get the dress code memo. And Ninder Billing, who's Commissioning Editor for Factual at Channel 5. So thanks for joining us. So a bit of housekeeping. We'll do questions at the end. We'll save some time for that. And if you just put your hand up, an usher will bring you a mic. So to start with, I mean, I've been sort of working in FactEnt for 20 years, I guess, but I still don't really know what it means. So, you know, what the hell is FactEnt is just a question that I want to ask the panel to start with. Our head of development was trying to explain it to an intern the other day, and I think he used the phrase, well, documentaries are the things that you are doing, features are the things that you should be doing, and FactEnt are the things that you wouldn't otherwise be doing, such as being on the run from the authorities or living on a desert island. So I thought that was actually not a bad description, but before we sort of delve into each channel's needs, I'd just like to ask each of you, in a sentence, what does FactEnt mean to you? Lucy?
I think the clue's in the name. It's entertaining factual. So they're big shows that have that say something about the world with fun.
Okay.
And that appeal to 16 to 34s.
16 to 34-year-olds, right, okay. Bill?
What she said.
What she said.
No, I think, for me, it's TV with a heart. TV with a heart and a bit of format, probably.
Yep. Okay. Donna?
Well, we do loads of FactEnt, and I think it's everything that isn't a documentary, a strict documentary, although I think that a documentary format is a FactEnt show, and there isn't a show that tells you how to do something. And everything in the middle, so from us, everything from Back in Time for Dinner, or I think Sewing Bee is a FactEnt format.
Okay, great.
I think for TLC UK, it's much more of a tonal thing for us. I think it's any of our factual content that is feel-good, uplifting, that's just a joyous experience to watch. We commission actually a real broad church from, although we're the Factual Entertainment Commissioning Department, we commission factual shows for our female skewing nets as well as entertainment shows. So I think, you know, for us, factual entertainment is just something that, you know, is uplifting, redemptive, and tonally on brand for TLC, which is, you know, a feel-good female skewing network.
Great. Ninder?
Well, for Channel 5, I think the thing to know is that we don't have a factual entertainment commissioning team. We just have 6 of us who commission across factuals. So factual entertainment for us is much more about the DNA of Channel 5. Factual entertainment is a sensibility which talks to all of our factual output, and it's about being mainstream, accessible, warm, entertaining, uplifting, and that really is reflective of almost all of our factual content. So we don't have a factual entertainment box that we put shows in. It's pervasive.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I think we're lucky in that the panel, you know, the channels are all quite different in their definition of FactEnt. So I want to dive into a bit more about what FactEnt is for each of you and what you're looking for. So, Lucy, Channel 4's got a great record of track record of FactEnt success, with a few misfires, of course. You personally commissioned Child Genius and The Undateables. So can we have a look at your tape, please, and see, this is actually new shows that are coming up in the Channel 4 pipeline really soon. Wow. So everyone's naked. So is it like a return to the pre-internet porn glory days of the red triangle?
No.
Anybody remember the red triangle? Anybody old enough to? Yeah. Okay.
No, I think there's a theme in the tape, and I think, A, it's fun. There's a sense of mischief in all the ideas and sort of provocation. Secondly, is a lot of what would you do? So there's quite a lot of play along. All the kind of ideas are sort of putting yourself in that position, so it's like dreaming and aspirational. And thirdly, I think the themes are quite universal. So stripped is about what happens when you take everything away, and we all feel kind of overwhelmed every day, and it's what would you really choose? Eden, it's very bold. It's like what happens if you start again? It's a completely new, unmediated for a whole year. There's no intervention. What happens if you start again? How do you build democracy? How do you build a society? Celebrity Island is the island, but with celebrities, and it's quite interesting to see them put in that position. And again, it's quite, it's immersive. It's not I'm a Celebrity. It's very different. It's got a Channel 4 tone. And finally, Naked Attraction. It's fun. It's dating in reverse. But what happens when the social trappings that we will have are stripped away, and you have to choose based on your animal instinct?
I mean, it's a broader tape than perhaps some of the, recently at Channel 4, you've had a great success across department with sort of male skewing Fact 10. Are you now looking to sort of redress the balance somewhat?
No, not consciously at all. I think it's just this year's theme, it seems to be kind of stripped back living. We're not looking for that for next year, but this is what's working for us at the moment. That's what's coming up.
Okay. So with shows like Hunted, SAS, Gogglebox, that we all think of as Channel 4, Fact 10 mainstays, they actually came out of formats, docs, and specialist factual, respectively. How do producers, of which there are lots here today, know where to bring a Fact 10 idea?
Well, we are Fact 10, that's what we do. Other departments have dipped their toes in very successfully. They're brilliant shows. But equally, we've dipped our toes in docs and features, so we do a bit of everything. So nothing's changed. We are still Fact 10, bringing ideas to us.
Okay. And is there rivalry between the departments then?
No. We have creative breakfast. You've all heard about them. We all hang out every Tuesday morning. Everyone's from different departments. Yeah. We all get on. It's not the old days of Channel 4. It's, we all talk. If someone pitches me a prison idea, I'll go and talk to Amy, and we all it's cross-jar. Okay.
So no punch-ups with John Hay in the corridor?
Nah.
And what makes a Channel 4 Fact 10 show different from other channels?
I think it's got to be a universal theme. It's got to feel subversive in tone and have some mischief in it.
Okay. And you've got a remit to innovate at Channel 4, is that correct?
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that you do that?
Well, we're not sitting around being smug. We're constantly kind of anxious about what's next, and that's kind of where you guys come in. We're looking to what's next. We need to be looking to the next thing. So that's why stripped back living, although that's what we're doing now, we don't want next year, we're quite full on dating. It's what's next. We're always looking for the next thing, always looking for the next contemporary insight.
So what are you missing, do you think? What should people be
Well,
bringing you?
we're not like features. The features might talk more in terms of territories, that they're looking for property or diet, etc. We don't really do that. So for me, the kind of big things are, think about what would you do, questions, so things that we can all play along with. Kind of big ideas that feel ambitious, and again have a sense of fun. PSB, so Undateable's what's next. Undateable's obviously still really successful. Don't worry.
Good.
but what is next in that genre? We've done disability, we've done prisons. What else can we be doing? And crucially, how do we innovate it? Because I think the themes are universal, and themes do come back. It's tele-cyclical. But how do we innovate? What's the creative or technical innovation in it? Thirdly, access, be it 9 or 10. So we have, at 10 it might be, at 9 it might be like a household brand institution that we're keen to get more of those. At 10 it might be slightly more formatted, or it might be access in terms of, like Inside the KKK was actually from an idea that was pitched to me at Sheffield, and it's using humour as a tool of engagement into that world. And finally, talent. We're always looking for new talent. Okay, great. Thanks. Donna, you've been in the indie sector until pretty recently, most recently as Director of Factual at Lion. You're now looking after the good ship formats and features at the Beeb. So let's take a look at some of your key shows in your department. Can we play the BBC reel, please? So Donna, if you don't mind me asking, what was the girl with the shaved pubes applying for?
Well, she couldn't get a job at all.
Could she
that
not?
was the thing with Employable Me, is that all of those people were unemployed and they had neurodiversity. No, you're just joking with me, Neil.
I am, sorry, I just wanted to know.
But she got a job, so she runs her own business.
That's great.
She does dog walking, where it doesn't matter if you shave your pubes or not.
That's brilliant. That's good to know. We'll leave that there. So unlike Channel 4, you do not have a specific fact-ent department. So again, when producers are pitching, how do they know where to go? I mean, are you and Tom McDonald, say, in competition for the same ideas? How are you going to fight out
I
that
think we
space?
all want the best ideas, and
Yeah.
I think that commissioning without a fact-ent department means that we all want to have formats in our area. So Patrick wants to do documentary formats and specialist factual formats. Tom wants to do those. We all want the best ideas. And I think, as you said earlier, that just ideas coming from what feels like intuitively the wrong genre, often they're the best ideas. What you want is to pitch to a commissioning editor who feels really passionate about that idea and really runs with it. And sometimes that's an obvious one and sometimes it isn't. I mean, for us, formats and features, it's a very broad department, and we're looking for everything from a specialist factual format to a sort of transformational, more traditional format in the Don't Tell the Bride or Lose Weight for Love type way. I mean, it's a very broad.
And so how important, because there is that breadth in your channel, in your department, how important are those heritage brands such as Countryfile and Bake Off compared to, say, newer stuff that people here today could bring in?
Well, they're obviously really important because they do really well and the audiences love them. And the teams who make them love them, and we are constantly changing and innovating those brands. So I don't think there's any sense of smugness about those brands. We are always trying to make them better and constantly innovating. But the bit that's obviously really exciting is pushing out for the next ones. So whilst making sure that they're really good, trying to get the next load, the next Who Do You Think You Are, and the next Dragon's Den. That's the bit that sort of really excites me.
So there are many opportunities?
There are loads of opportunities,
Yeah.
No, BBC One, BBC Two, we have loads of opportunities. I mean, obviously the sensibility is slightly different on both,
Yeah.
but no, absolutely looking for the next fact-ent hit, please, come to me.
Anybody?
No, come to me.
It's not a pitching
Or
session.
me.
So, BBC's not meant to be ratings-driven, and actually you have renewed a couple of things which didn't perform as well in the ratings. I mean,
Well, it's-
I'm not going to name names, but and so would you rather commission something which you believe in, or recommission something you believe in, or go for something that sort of, it does okay ratings, or you always, what's your
I think
recommissioning
the success
criteria?
of a brand, I mean, you're right, it's not all about ratings, but you do want shows that are popular.
Yeah.
And I think that on both BBC One and BBC Two, they're very broad. We don't commission much that feels very niche.
Yeah.
And we look at the ratings, but sometimes something, so Employable Me didn't do enormously well,
I was
but
gonna
it
say
did
that.
really well with underserved audiences, and the people
Great
who
show.
found it loved it.
Yeah.
So, whilst obviously Bake Off, marvellous,
Yeah.
the newer formats, I think sometimes
And
it takes
Chinese School, I guess,
And
is
Chinese
another
School the same. I mean, sometimes it takes a while for a format to bed in. You look at First Dates when it started, or even Gogglebox. They weren't runaway successes, and sometimes you have to choose which are the ones we're going to invest in.
Yeah. So your public service remit, does that mean you feel hindered in taking risks, or does that,
No, I think we want to take risks. We want to take risks in terms of the subject matter and the form particularly. I mean, I think we always want to innovate and make things which feel like we couldn't have seen them before. It's finding new ways of telling stories. As Lucy said, often the territory might stay the same, but there's a different way of telling a story.
So you joined the BBC from an indie relatively recently.
It's quite a while now.
Well, a year,
Nearly.
nearly a year. So what did you experience? How did you find the BBC? Were there issues when you were pitching to the BBC? What are you trying to change?
I think that when I was in the indie world, sometimes I didn't quite know who to go to and what people were looking for. And I think what I've tried to do is make it very clear what we do in our department. We have lots of briefings. We had one recently. We've got one week on Monday where we actively invite indies in so that we can brief out and tell you exactly what we're looking for. And I like to give a quick no. That's my thing.
You're good at that.
Sorry. Because I think I know that
A few
sometimes
quick yeses would be nice.
Yeah, obviously you want to hear a quick yes, but sometimes a quick no is the next best thing.
Yeah. Okay, great. And do you think fact-ent at the BBC always needs to be talent-led?
Not at all. Well, Employable Me is not talent-led. I don't think so. I mean, our talent is great, and we're always looking for new talent as well. I think we could really do something in that area. But But no, I just want to say, look at all sorts of different formats, and some of them will be talent-led and some of them won't.
Yep. Okay. And I mean, but talent is still really important at the Beeb, isn't it? I mean, you know, there's a lot of talent-led shows. If a producer's coming with an idea, and this is something I find myself, you know, wrestling with quite often, do they need to attach talent to it, or is it more important that the idea comes first?
I think
and
I'd
you'll
rather
help
get the
them?
idea right first. Because we do our own sort of talent searches. We know we've got people that we really want to work with. It sort of depends. If you've got some amazing talent that you get really excited about, then send us it. And you can just send little clips that have been shot on your iPhone. Then do that. But if you've got a great idea and you haven't thought about the talent yet, then send us the idea.
Okay. And just touching on talent at the BBC, and you've got quite a roster of familiar faces.
Do.
How are you doing in terms of your diversity push on screen?
Well, I think that certainly on, you were talking about the heritage brands, with all of those, we're bringing on new talent. So from everything from Gardener's World to Countryfile, Antiques Roadshow, we're bringing on new talent all the time. And I think that it's really, I think we get sort of stuck into to thinking that diversity is just BAME, and I think that diversity is all sorts of voices from all sorts of backgrounds which just feel representative of our country today. And that's something that it's very much in our minds, and we're trying to do that with all of our brands and all of the new shows that we commission. We just want to have a representative roster of great talent.
And what are you really proud of at the moment?
We've got something coming up. That the Back in Time, we're doing a Back in Time for Brixton, which is part of a season that's going to happen in November, which is looking at sort of the history of Black Britain, and we're taking a family who just seem fantastic to live through the sort of 40s up to now in Brixton. I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be great.
Is that ending in fromage and champagne or whatever?
Well, who knows? We haven't shot it yet.
Okay, great, thank you. Bill, you've also fairly recently migrated from production to commissioning, and you keep part of the non-scripted team at Sky. There's been some really fun Fact 10 formats there recently. I think it's fair to say 50 Ways to Kill Your Mammy and Wild Things. So can we have a look at some of the Sky highlights? Is that Damien Lewis's real voice?
Yeah, that's what it really sounds.
What are you proud of on that tape, Bill? There's quite a varied selection, isn't it?
All of it, obviously.
Oh, yes, good answer.
I'm personally quite fortunate. I look after Freddie and his chip van on Sky One and Wild Things, but also do quite a bit for Sky Arts, so Portrait and Landscape Artist of the Year, great fun to work on.
Yeah.
But I think what I really love about that tape is it shows what a broad spectrum of stuff we can do on Sky One and Sky Arts. You know, they're all really, really good shows, and there's a lot of returning brands in there as well, which shows their strengths. So.
And just to, you know, we were chatting with Donna about talent. Again, Sky seems to be a place where talent is really, really key. How important, you know, I'm going to ask you the same question, how important is it that talent comes with an idea?
I think inevitably we're going to all share similar feelings about this. I mean, our audience love to come to see great talent do amazing shows, but that's exactly the point. They need to be amazing shows first and foremost. So yes, absolutely attach talent to an idea, but if the format's not strong, we all know shows where the talent's been amazing and the format hasn't worked and it's not good enough. So the format is absolutely key, the idea is absolutely essential, and then the talent we can work with to find the right piece of talent to work with that.
And just sticking with talent, what's a piece of talent that you'd love to bring to Sky?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Oh, come on.
No way, because if I'd say that, then I will get 5,000 emails in my inbox tomorrow morning with Dawn French attached to it or something like that.
So it's Dawn French.
No, it's Dawn French. It's not Dawn French. Well, actually, no, of course it is Dawn French. What am I saying? Dawn French would be amazing to have.
Yeah.
But think about who, well, it depends on the channel, obviously, Sky One or Sky Arts, but if you're talking about Sky One, you know, it's a broad-facing channel and it needs really good, strong, fun, exciting talent that our audience would love to watch.
Okay. So just sticking with Sky One, what themes and subject matter work for you? Is there a connective tissue? As you say, it's quite a broad church, but what's...
Well, I guess the one unifying comment is that it's all with the exception of some of, obviously, Ross, it's funny factual. You know, the stuff that we do is good, fun, entertaining, enjoyable. It's friends messing about. It's, you know, you look at League of Their Own and their road trips and stuff this year, which is a huge success for us, right through to Wild Things, which is just our kind of Wipeout Ninja Warrior. It's just chaotically brilliant.
Yeah, so I know that Sky, you know, I've heard it said that there's a commissioning question, you know, would I pay money to watch this show? You've got to ask, would our subscribers, not viewers, aren't they, pay money to watch this show? So what made you think that a show about people dressed up as furry animals would be something that people would want?
Everybody loves a giant badger, don't they? I think.
I love a giant badger.
I think it's a brilliant show. It is, every second of that show is just genius. It's very funny. It's counterintuitive in the sense that no one else would do it, and it's giant stags running through a forest, not knowing where they're going because they can't see anything. I mean, it's just genius.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. But why Sky? Why?
Because I think we cannot afford to be derivative or be in anyone's shadow. People pay for our content. We've got to stand out and be risky and different. And so we don't want to be derivative at all. And I think that is the definition of that show. You know, if you think about what we have. So if you think about our adrenaline junkie show, is a bloke who takes his mum, a 70-year-old mum, on roller coasters and 50 ways to kill your
He
mate.
doesn't really want to kill her.
He doesn't really want to kill her, of course not. Or sometimes.
Just for anybody who's not seen it. It's very sweet.
And then if our sort of travelogue show where we take someone to the Taj Mahal is with Carl, who whinges about being there and has an amazing sort of counterintuitive look at the world. And then as I say, our Wild Things is our kind of sort of like a big entertainment wipeout sort of Ninja Warrior, really.
So, as a pay TV network, you know, it seems to me from the outside potentially that there's less opportunity for you to take risk, but actually a bigger need for you to do so. And I think Wild Things, is that true?
I don't think so. I don't think it's less opportunity for us to take risk. We can take risk with absolutely everything that we do. I think that's the watchword for what we want to do, actually. We want people to bring the ideas that they couldn't take anywhere else. Because we want to be distinctively different to our colleagues here. You know, we want to stand out. We have to make a lot of noise about the stuff that we make. You know, we made our sort of animal dog training show made the front page of The Independent. It was because a dog flew a plane. I mean, you know, where else could you do that? It was fantastic.
Was it somebody dressed up as a dog? Was it an
No,
actual dog?
obviously. No, that's
That's the hybrid. So, funny factual, yes, you're known for. Is there anything else that you really want that you're not getting?
Again, I'm sort of not going to answer that because I want to. There's 7 of us in the commissioning team. We all in the non-scripted commissioning team, and we all work across all the channels. And there is a sort of specialist factual end, sort of covered by James Quinn and Siobhan Mulholland. At the other end is Rich Lackham and Barbara Lee, slightly more studio ends-based stuff. And then I sit in the middle with Shirley Jones. But we all work across the whole spectrum. So obviously I'm doing Wild Things, but I'm also doing art stocks on Sky Art. So we just want the best ideas. Of course we do. Everybody does. But we want stuff that I think makes us sit up and go, that's a really interesting way to do that world. Because every genre is well-traveled, we know that. But we were looking for a nice, good, clever take that makes us sit up and go, that's going to make people either laugh or make some noise, you know. And
what about Sky Arts? Because you mentioned Sky Arts, obviously. I mean, I now like Mick Hucknall after watching your portrait artist.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
It was a really good show. And so should people not forget about Sky? You know, it's not just about Sky One. What's going on at Sky Arts?
As much as there's opportunity on Sky One, there's huge opportunity on Sky Arts. We do. Phil Legger-James, who runs the channel, calls it, genius is standard. We want the best quality talent doing what they do best on that channel. We get pitched a lot of. We've got access to the audition process of teenagers getting into blah 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 in Royal National Ballet. And we said, well, that's great, but actually, if we're going to do it, we want the prima ballerina. We want access to her, and access to amazing talent, doing what they do best or doing something special. Like we had Lenny Henry doing Lenny's Got the Blues, where he was investigating why there'd never been a really famous black British blues musician. That was a great series, But at the same time, we have a lot of stuff in the archive, all the classic albums and things like that. So actually, what we're looking for is new takes on or new performances. We do the hot tickets where we we did Matthew Bourne's Carmen, and we did Carlos Acosta dancing Elizabeth. And in a fact-ent space, which obviously today's about, documentaries about Deep Purple. We've got the brilliant Portrait and Landscape Artist of the Year, which I look after, and I completely love that show. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a huge spectrum of stuff we can do on that channel.
Great, thank you. Ninder, you commission across a really wide range of factual genres for Channel 5, I think.
I do.
Doing everything from Tribal Teen to Crocodile in My Kitchen, great name,
Yep.
through to the news.
That's not our fact 10.
That's not a fact 10 show, is it? Just a,
No, we take the news very seriously.
so can we have a look at the Channel 5 tape? Let's see what's on that. Thank you. Benefits and brainy dogs. Brilliant.
Great breadth, isn't it?
So Channel 5, Ninder, Channel 5 is really well known for its titles, isn't it? I think it's got some great titles. Recent ones, Blinging Up Baby, Psycho Pussies When Cats Attack, 41 Dogs in a 3-Bed Semi,
Viva Las Vegas.
Nana Love, 50 Shades of Granny, although Ben Frow did think that was maybe a step too far. And Beaver Las Vegas, I hear, was commissioned on title alone. I think, isn't there a follow-up, Saturday Night Beaver, when good beavers go bad? Or is that just a rumour?
That's a rumour. That's a rumour. But now you said it.
You can have that
I
one.
like that, yeah.
Got one. What about Vape Alarm, an e-cigarette documentary? Anyway. But how important...
He's just going to pitch to me. You just have to take your time.
Titles. How important is a title for Channel 5? Because I think your titles are they do distinguish the channel.
Yeah, I think our titles are really important to us, and they're important for a few reasons. I think everyone would say on the panel that titles are important. I don't think anyone's going to say that they're not important to them, but
Channel 5s have a certain flavour, don't they?
Yeah, and it's because when we think about our Channel 5 audience, often it's someone sitting down at the end of a hard day and they get the EPG and they're flicking through and thinking, what am I going to watch? What am I going to watch? What am I going to watch? And they go, Psycho Pussies, When Cats Attack. I've got to watch it. And then they're in. And it's we've got to grab them. And once they're in, once they've got the title and they've turned over to us, what's absolutely vital is that there's a show that they can watch. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's content, there's a story to tell, there are great characters, it's really well made, it's well done. So yes, the title's crucial, but it's got to be at the top of a really brilliant show.
Great. And so, I mean, Channel 5, correct me if I'm wrong, has often been seen as a bit of an underdog. I mean, Banksy, didn't he last year in the opening of Dismal Lands, apologise for the lack of meaningful jobs, global injustice, and Channel 5? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think if you look at our young audience, we are growing our 1634 share more than any other terrestrial channels. So we're giving our audience something they really want to come to. They're really happy with it. They're watching us. They don't feel a need for us to apologise to them. We don't feel a need to apologise. We're really proud of what we do. We celebrate what we do. Our content is warm, it's funny, it's aspirational. That's what we're making. If you look at the titles that are coming down the track, The New Wife, Rich House, Poor House, it's all about Britain in 2016 and taking, looking at it through a particular prism, which makes you feel like it's not judgmental, it's not mean, but it's absolutely on the money for the way that people are living today. We're happy.
Good. So your ratings success, though, isn't a lot of that driven by Big Brother and US dramas? Has Fact 10 got a part to play in that?
Last year we had over 1,000 hours of new original content, and we launched 45 new series. So I think that pretty much answers the question, doesn't it?
Okay. And Ben Frow's just announced another big push into Fact 10, has he, sir?
Yeah, we are absolutely looking for 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock returnable series that have got that aspirational tone, that feel really warm and wonderful to watch with irresistible content, irresistible titles. We're really firmly in that space. What plays around Big Brother, because Big Brother's in the schedule, we're happy with Big Brother, but we need content on either side of it, so that's at 8 o'clock, that's at 10 o'clock as well. And, event pieces, what could you strip across a week that feels fact-centered, that feels entertaining, that's got really good factual content to it. We're really, really in the market for great ideas at the moment.
So could you say what makes a Channel 5 Fact 10 format?
I would say it has to be directly relatable to our audience. Our audience is unashamedly populist, It's mainstream. It's got to have that tone where if you sit down, as I was saying, you sit down at the end of a hard day, you don't want to work too hard, but you do want something that's got some depth to it, but it's got to feel like it's going to take you on a really jolly ride as well.
So is there anything that you really need but is missing from the channel that people could help with?
We're such a small commissioning team, Neil, that we sit around talking about what we want, but we have to work really closely with the creative community. We have to collaborate with the indies, and we have to rely on you to come and tell us what the zeitgeist is, what you think, what you anticipate the zeitgeist to be, where you think we should be. Once you've watched the channel and you've read about what's coming down the track, you think, well, they're missing this, they're missing that. So we are always open to we'll take all the meetings that we can with people telling us what they think we're missing. And that's how we work. It works well for us.
Good. How many are there, commissioners?
6. Yeah.
For the whole channel?
For the
for
whole
everything?
channel, for everything.
Is that how come you ended up with news?
I don't know news, I'm really good at news. Right? Come on.
Sorry. Of course, too dispatching.
Come on.
I know it's quite funny because you were on the phone to the news yesterday. It was very grown up. What about regional stories? Are they important to you? Because you've got a broad audience. How important are the regions of the nation?
Yeah, the regions are important to us. We know that a lot of our heartland audience is in Scotland. A lot of it's in the north. So when we work with indies in Scotland and in the north, we work really well, very collaboratively with them and very creatively with them. And we also have great titles like the Yorkshire Vet and Loch Lomond, A Year in the Wild, which have done really well for us. But of course, they're not only playing to that northern audience, they're playing to the whole country. So it may be set in the north, but it's got broad appeal.
Okay, good. And what's really exciting you at the moment? What have we got to look forward to?
What's really exciting me is the evolution of Channel 5. We're turning the dial. If you looked on that reel, there was the Great Benefits handout. So whereas in the past, we'd just do straight benefit shows, and we do still have those. Our audience still want them. We'll give them to our audience. But the benefits handout turns the dial for benefits content and says, look, we still want to look at these people, but what we want to do is look at it afresh. So you give a family £26,000 and say, how can it transform your life? So immediately the proposition feels more uplifting, feels engaging, it feels fresh. So that's what I'm excited about, is tonally we're shifting into this really wonderful space.
Great. Mark, you're the only panellist here who represents international commissioning for TLC. And some of the best fact-10 formats obviously sell all over the world, is something a lot of us are interested in. Discovery networks buy quite a few of them. One of them actually is Say Yes to the Dress, which has worked really well for TLC USA, and you're remaking it for TLC UK. So I think we've got a clip of that, which is a new show which hasn't yet come out. So can we have a look at Say Yes to the Dress, please? Looks like it's going to be a popular show, Mark. Oh, look.
I utterly love that show. And just going back to what I was saying earlier about our shows needing to be redemptive and joyous, obviously there you've got a real scene of drama, but the show itself, we follow that through and we find a resolution, and it's a happy dad in the end. So just a brilliant format for us, and David Emmanuel is excellent, and a surprise booking, I think, for TLC UK to have that kind of male talent and leading a series. 40 half hours we've commissioned of that, so we're in the market for formats and high volume. It's made with Half Yard, who had they make a lot of our US versions. They've come over here to produce that for us, and they bring a lot of experience with them. So it's absolutely tonally the same as the US series, but I think, as you've seen there, we've gone for some real, authentic, genuine storytelling. And it's not just to point out, it's not just the UK that we're remaking that. We are also doing a series in Australia. We have a series on air in Poland, and we're also looking at a couple of other territories across Europe. So I think, by the sounds of the wish list that everybody on the panel has, I think we're all fishing in the same kind of fact-ent pool. But one of the real advantages about Discovery Networks International is that we can genuinely accelerate a format across the world. And that's what we've done with Say Yes to the Dress, and what we're doing also with another fact-ent series that we have launching this summer called Undressed, which is a Zodiac format, which we created in Italy, and now we're making it in Poland, the Netherlands, and the UK.
So do you think that Fact 10 shows travel internationally particularly well?
I think as a finished tape, you have to have an eye on international, and not every finished UK or US Fact 10 series will travel well. But I think what we try and do is identify ideas and formats that will travel and remake locally. To in a case in point with Undressed and Say Yes to the Dress, they are becoming super brands for Zodiac, for Discovery, and I think. We've never really been in the formats business before until the last 12 months, and I think it's something that we're really interested in. We've become much more flexible in our rights positions. We can really do a deal if it's an idea and a format that we genuinely believe in.
So you mean you won't necessarily take all IP? Is that what you mean?
I'm not saying that here. I'm saying we would be more flexible. I think, look, we're never going to be as flexible as a terrestrial UK broadcaster, but I do think that, we back and we support shows, and regardless of how the IP works out in negotiations, I think one of the things for producers to sort of understand is that we genuinely do back ideas and we look for returnable series. We've got, I mentioned earlier, just... We don't just commission Factent, we commission Factual and entertainment and everything in the middle. And the great successes of 2015, really, internationally for us, were more female-skewing Factual doc series. We try... Discovery's obviously got a heritage.
Such as what, sorry?
But there's a small, lesser-known independent production company called Betty that make a series for us called Too Ugly for Love that we're now in series 3. But we're also in series 2 of Extraordinary Pregnancies with Curve, and we've just launched and rolling out Separated at Birth from CTVC. So what these are is genuinely more doc in sensibility. We try to, Discovery's got a heritage of making great factual programming on the male net, so we looked at taking those production values and just transferring them across to our entertainment networks, and having kind of female factual doc series, and those have been really successful for us. Our next push, as I say, I think is in entertainment. I think there's genuinely an opportunity for us here in the UK and internationally, and so formats and Factent is something that we are really wanting you guys to come and pitch for us.
And what about talent? Because so Jodie Marsh, Charlotte Crosby, Katie Hopkins, and now Katie Price. Has that been announced? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all quite an acquired taste, aren't they? Are you only going for polarising female talent? Is that, and David Emmanuel?
Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. I
Ladies.
think you've deliberately left out Tina Malone and David Emmanuel from our talent list there, probably to be provocative yourself. But I think...
now it's getting good.
When you look at those feisty females that we have on the network, they genuinely have a point of view and an opinion. And whether you agree with them or disagree with them, I think all of the content that we've made with our talent has been incredibly strong editorial shows. But what I do find interesting, and it comes up at panels quite a lot, is that when you have got a feisty female on a network with a controversial viewpoint, it comes in for quite a lot of criticism or attention. But actually, when you've got a male presenter on a network who has a controversial opinion, all the channels offer them megabucks and start a bidding war. So I think there's something,
That's interesting.
Something interesting in the inequality of that.
Okay, great. And what are the key differences, would you say, for the audience really, between terrestrial and international Factent? So, why would an idea that works for TLC maybe not work for the other channels or vice versa?
I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think, a lot of our content on TLC would work on terrestrials and vice versa. I think the challenge for us, though, because obviously we are a digital network, we are just over 3 years old. I think the additional filter that we put on all of our content is it noisy enough to work off air just as much as on air? And I think when you're a terrestrial broadcaster, you don't necessarily, although you want that, it's not perhaps as important as it is for TLC. And Ninder talked about a small commissioning team of 6. We've actually got if we were an estate agent, we'd say we were Bijou. There's 3 of us. It's myself, Charlotte Reed, and Steve Jones. We commission for TLC UK and international, and I think actually what we're doing and what we have done previously is really punch above our weight, and that's because we're going for ideas like Undressed or like the talent-led docs that we do that are noisy and buzzy, and it just gets us press and PR, and that's the point.
Okay. And are there any big formats you'd take a second window on? I mean, can something that's worked on another channel, is that something that TLC would pick
I
up?
don't think TLC UK would necessarily do a second window on a show, but internationally we acquire lots of content and ready-mades anyway, so there's probably a real opportunity internationally for second window. But I think that you know there's a lot of formats out there that I'm envious of, but I think we wouldn't look to do a co-pro for TLC.
Okay. Just to broaden out the discussion a bit, I mean, thank you, Mark. Obviously, this is a Docs Festival. I was propping up the bar until very late on Sunday night at the Mercure. And I noticed a little resistance maybe to the idea of a Fact 10 panel, although it seems that that has been ignored. Do you find, Lucy, that there's a certain resistance to Fact 10? Is it looked down on in the sort of doc community, or is there a...
I don't know. You can tell, everyone here can tell me, but for me, it's the strongest jar at the moment. It's a testament to the strength of it that there's so many imitators, essentially. Within Fact 10, it's the most growing. There's a massive evolution in the jar.
Although, while we're on the subject of imitators, there is a lot of discussion at the moment around sort of originality. I know that recently, actually, David Abraham criticised Channel 4 for so-called...
Channel 5.
Channel 5 for copycat commissioning.
You can criticise Channel 4 if you like. So
I mean, benefit porn following Benefit Street. I mean, Ninder, how do you respond to that accusation?
I think if you look at the breadth of our schedule and look at the quality and the breadth of the content that we've got at the moment, you'd see that Channel 5 is doing the leading rather than the following.
Okay, in what way?
Sorry?
In what way?
Just in the programs that we've got at the moment, the programs that we've got coming up. So, what I would say is that it's inevitable that the channels will end up in similar territory. We're all talking about the similar zeitgeist. We're all trying to anticipate the zeitgeist. But what's different is the way in which Channel 5 views that territory and the look that we have on that.
Okay, Lucy, do you think that's a fair rebuttal?
No. I wouldn't really say it's leading, but I think it's certainly a fair play. It works. It works for Channel 5, but I think that Channel 4 is always innovating. We did Kitchen Impossible before Employable Me. It rated better. We've done The Island. We've done all of the kind of benefits became first out of Channel 4. So I think we innovate, and that's why we're always looking for what's next. That's our job, to innovate.
I think unfortunately Lucy's got her facts slightly wrong on the benefit shows, but we can talk about that afterwards. That's fine.
What I would say is that last year, out of the top 50 factual shows, 11 out of 50 came out of the Fact 10 department of Channel 4, so I think it speaks for itself.
What do you want me to do? Wrestle her?
Arm wrestle.
It's a different sort of show, isn't it? More Shakespearean in tone, but it's not a bad setting for it, perhaps. Donna, what do you think? Do you care to comment?
No, I don't think they should fight.
Do you not?
In the imitating each other's genres.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that it is true
that we're
we
all
have similar
playing in the
spaces.
same space.
But they're universal themes, aren't they? So it's about the execution, and each channel would have its own identity and its own way
So
of
it's all
doing
about
it.
the tone. You don't think it matters necessarily that we're, if we're in...
I think it does happen. I mean, it's obviously upsetting if people criticise you for not being distinctive when they've been ripping off your shows, but the people who are the worst at that aren't here.
Okay, who are they then? Okay. I mean, Sky must be doing something right. The big painting challenge came soon after Sky's Portrait Artist of the Year, didn't it? I think an ITV commissioned Play to the Whistle after Sky had enormous success, or has enormous success with a league of their own. So is imitation the sincerest form of flattery, Bill?
I think it's a fucking disgrace that people do.
Yes!
I think it's cultural beige. It is just such a shame. I think when production companies strive really hard to develop something original and new, to then see people just copy it is a real shame. And I think we pride ourselves in trying to be really distinctive. Yes, we all fish in the same pond, but you know, all the audiences for all the channels want to see new and exciting and different stuff. And I think that's what we should be looking for.
But things like naked dating shows seem to be having a bit of resurgence. And I know you've got one, Lucy. I think you've got one, Mark, as well. Haven't you? You've got Undressed. I mean,
We've got Undressed, yeah.
How does that come to be? Like the SAS shows came out at the same time, very different in tone. But why do you think that happens? Is it something in the air? Is it, Mark?
I think there was a sort of naked zeitgeist around, and I know that a lot of our channels internationally actually acquired a lot of that content, so there was an appetite for that genre. As I say, Undressed was developed in Italy and grew from there, and we love the show. And actually, despite its sort of attention-grabbing headline, it's actually just about connections. And as with all of our shows, I think the casting is really key, and the production company have done an incredible job on this, and sort of seeing those moments of connections play out. For those of you that don't know the format, it's essentially just really beautifully simple. It's a studio, it's a bed, it's a big screen, it's two singletons. They meet each other for the first time, and then the first instruction on the screen is to undress each other and get into bed. They're in their underwear, so it's not as graphic as yours, Lucy, but once that awkwardness of the undressing scenes is over, it's actually just quite a beautiful story of watching two dates unfold. It's a bit First Dates in its tone, but perhaps a little bit more extreme.
So do you think that we're going to be moving on a bit from dating now? Do you think our dating buckets are full? I mean, what do you think the next genres are to make sure we freshen up our slates?
Well, as I said, we don't really talk in terms of territories. So it's what would you do? What's next? What's the next contemporary insight? Okay. But I mean, as I said before, it seems universal. So it's also about the execution. So you might be looking back at something that's already been made. So SAS, to refer back to your question, if you look at the 3 different pre-titles of the last year's ones, but also the Dermot one, they're all so different. They're so much about channel identity that I think that's what can make the same area different.
And what about, Bill, you're talking about originality, but obviously, one of the few examples that I can think of Fact 10 actually migrating channels has been Don't Tell the Bride. How long do you think it is until we see Fact 10 moving around in a similar way that maybe entertainment does a little bit, in the case of The Voice? Do you think that's a future trend?
I think we want to concentrate on developing new and original ideas, but when something like Don't Tell the Bride comes along and you think, actually, you've got to pounce on that. It's a heartland for Sky One. It's an absolutely sweet spot for our audience. They'll love that show. It's a fantastic show. Donna's, credit. It's a brilliant program, and we're really excited to have it.
Yes, of course, you made it, didn't you? Well done.
So I think for Don't Tell the Bride, that works. I think otherwise, I think we want to, much like Lucy, want to innovate and make our own stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, just in terms of those formats, isn't Bake Off still under discussion whether that's going to be secured for the BBC?
I think it's still, discussions are ongoing. It's not, I'm not directly involved in that. It's sort of fluttery. I have to say, and in a way, it's because things like Bake Off and Don't Tell the Bride, they become very big. And that's why we always want to be looking for what's the next. So if that does happen, if things do go away, and I don't know whether it will or it won't, that we've got the next thing round the corner that's going to be taking over.
How much would you pay for Bake Off, Bill? What are my bids for Bake Off?
That's a question way above my pay grade. I'm not going to answer that one.
Lucy?
I'm not director of programmes.
Not for you. No. Ninder, would Channel 5 do something like Bake Off?
We're not into poaching programmes.
Mark, second window?
I wouldn't do second window. I'd absolutely poach it. I think one of the surprising things about Discovery is that we do have deep pockets, and producers are constantly telling us that we have, a price point that is on par with terrestrial broadcasters. So I think we could afford it at the current level. Probably not where they're renegotiating. I think for that we'd probably have to have a pretty big bake sale to raise some funds. But absolutely, I take it. What I would be mindful of, though, on TLC is just the fact that we are a commercial network, and you will have ad breaks So I think the viewing experience and the loyal fans that actually love watching it uninterrupted on the BBC, I do think it's a consideration for whoever takes it on.
Great. Okay. Well, look, thank you for joining us today. Lively panel. Before we depart, just wanted to throw questions from the floor, really. Is there anybody who would like to ask anything of our panel today? Oh, the lady here. Just bring you the mic.
Thanks. I'm Katie Fryer, an exec at Princess. I'd quite like to know from each of you how you like to be pitched to, because there are obviously a lot of different ways to pitch, so it would be great to hear what works and what doesn't.
Well, we handily have a whole website, which is the Pitch website, and that's the best place to go for the BBC. We have a commissioning website, and you can see who all of us are, and then from then you can go straight to Pitch, which is probably the best way to get treatments directly to the person who you think would respond to your idea the best.
It's a really useful question, so I'm going to put it out to the whole panel. Mark?
Me and the other two are very accessible. You can send us top lines, rough video shot on an iPhone, anything. We're happy to start a dialogue. And what we do, because we know the brand so well, and the opportunities internationally, is really work with producers to develop that. But what I would say is that actually, TLC is, getting inside of TLC and understanding the brand is something that I would encourage all producers to look at before they start pitching to us, because there is a definite feel-good female entertainment voice that we'd need from any of our shows. And what I've started doing is a bit more of an immersion session with producers who genuinely want to start working with us, so that I go there. It's not a pitch session, it's just sort of showing you clips of the types of things that are on our network that are working around the world, and then you can go off and develop into that.
Ninder?
Come and talk to us. Watch the channel first, and then come and talk to us. We're really accessible, and we are always open to meetings. The one thing I would say, though, is come and talk to us about things which you tonally think are right for Channel 5 now, not a Channel 5 that existed a couple of years ago, not a Channel 5 that you think should be the Channel 5, just where we are. Just try and understand as much as you can about us, and then we'll give you more information and help and collaborate and steer as much as we can.
Email, direct, top line, just a couple of, no more than a paragraph. Clip if you have it. Surprise us, make us laugh. Don't give us what we already have. Think about what's next. And we aim to respond very, very quickly. It's one of my personal things that I always try and, at least acknowledge it within the day, and come in for a chat if we like it.
Yeah, similar to pretty much everybody else, actually. Contact us via email. Top lines don't do pages and pages of stuff. If you've got some talent, put it onto tape, good idea, or access, do that. I would say, if you think you could probably pitch it to one of these guys, then don't come and pitch it to me, because I don't want what they want. I want something different. As
we know now.
We will come back to you within 2 weeks with an answer of whether we want to take it forward or not. But top line, certainly, and then we'll work with you and see if, shape it.
Great. Any more questions from the floor, please? None at all? You covered? Hello.
I'd like to know, just very quickly from everybody, which show you're most envious of and wish you had.
I'm a big fan of Back in Time. I think it's a great format. Maybe change the talent if it was on Channel 4, but it's got lots of attributes that make it really engaging watch. Great.
I personally really love The Island. I just think that's a great show. I think we could do with a really good, chewy, male-skewing show on Sky One. It's a very 50-50 split, that channel, and I think we could do with that. I'd love to have something like that.
I love the rig stuff on 4 and 5. I love First Dates, and I really love GPs Behind Closed Doors. I think they're not necessarily that I would take them, but I just think they're really well-made, brilliant shows.
Right for TLC, I would love to have had Tattoo Fixers. I think it's a great show for us. But not right for TLC, but a show that I'm massively envious of is The Jail, A&E.
I'd say not that we'd want to take it, but in terms of the brilliant clarity of proposition and the way in which it's executed, I'd go for Gogglebox.
Absolutely. Great. Any more questions? Gentlemen. Gentleman just behind you.
As a non-independent producer, a member of the public in a sense, are any of you interested in hearing directly from members of the public anymore, or has it got to come via independent producers?
Good question, Ninder.
Actually, Ben Frow was talking about this morning. It's tricky for us to talk to individual members of the public because there is such a process to go through before you get to an idea, which is a television proposition. So sometimes I do get emails from individuals who say, I've got a great idea for something, and I always email back. I'll always respond and say, look at what else is on TV that you think is most similar in tone to how you envisage that idea, and contact that production company, go and talk to them, because they will know how to make it into TV.
Are there any other versions of that answer? Does anybody want to comment?
Well, I would say that actually we're probably really accessible, and what we have done previously is match, kind of aspiring filmmakers or members of the public with a great idea with a production company if we do want to or are interested in that idea. And similarly, we've also given fledgling startups and new companies their first commissions over the last few years. So we don't just work with large super indies. We work with everybody.
Great.
I think we'd all agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going to your point about fledgling startups and new companies, Mark, what would, and this goes to the whole panel, if you received a great idea from a smaller company and you perhaps didn't have the confidence that they'd be able to pull it off, would you be reluctant to commission that idea? Say if it's a small indie but they've got a great shiny floor format or an amazing ambitious Eden project for Channel 4, would you have second thoughts on
Mark,
going forward?
We would try and make it work. If the idea is that good, I don't think it really matters where it comes from. We're very supportive as a network. Our systems and processes internally, as as Neil will attest to. I hope that our production management departments, business affairs departments, the on-air, off-air teams, they really go to support our producers and the content. So. We would look to make it work. If it was somebody that was, such a new startup that they needed extra hand-holding, we would match-make them with a more experienced producer.
Ditto. I mean, it's all about the idea. If it's a great idea, we'll meet you first and talk to you about, who we can match you up with. And you would have a say in that. It wouldn't be, you have to work with X. You would probably meet several people.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, no, same as that.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some stats this morning, which I haven't seen before, actually, which show that Channel 5 proportionately deals with more smaller indies than any of the other terrestrial broadcasters, which I was really delighted by, which just shows that how collaborative we are in terms of teaming up small indies with great ideas. And we may say, why don't you go and talk to a particular larger company, or we may say we've got a great exec who we know will be able to help you realise this, but we're really already working with lots of small indies and interested in working with more.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the floor? It's the lady there.
I was just wondering what the most common mistakes indies make when they're pitching to factual entertainment commissioners in particular.
I think it's probably to come in and go, it's just like Carl Pilkington. It's just like that, because we don't want that. That happens a lot.
Lucy?
I would agree. It's with our version. It's just like Child Genius, or it's just like Undateables, or it's just like The Island, or Hunted.
Yeah, or they just haven't watched the programme that is exactly that idea.
I think just not understanding the tone of voice of the channel, but also seeing that we've done some talent-led docs before and just attaching one talent to an idea that they're loosely connected with, and it just feels really disingenuous.
Yeah, two things. One is promising talent, that Ben Fogle really wants to do this idea, and we've seen Ben Fogle yesterday, and no, he would never do an idea like that. And the other is I actually did get an idea which was almost verbatim what you would read in the listings for one of our most successful titles that's already on air. So that's just, not watching the channel.
Do your homework. Bill, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, that's exactly it. I think it's surprising how many people come and who just haven't watched what you transmit what shows you've got. And I had someone came in to me and said, so what do you play at 8 o'clock? And I was like, well, this meeting's over. Thanks for coming in. You know. It's just like, you do your research and find out where you think the gaps are, and then come to us with the ideas for those.
For Channel 5, I'd say we really want to work with people who really want to work with us. And part of that is showing us that you've watched our content and that you love our content and you love our tone as much as we love it. And that's that engagement with the channel, as opposed to just thinking about the idea you've got and who you can sell it to, will go a long way in terms of creating a really good working relationship with us.
And for us, I would just say that the ideas don't have to be completely fully formed. It's a dialogue, it's a collaboration. The island sort of evolved over 8 months to become what it was in the end. It started off as an incredibly formatted show where the wise one another island watching, and it turned into something very, very raw.
I've got an amber light on. I think that means get ready to wrap up, doesn't it, in show business?
I don't know.
So thank you very much to our panel and to you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.